Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, now from deep in the darkest forests of northern Minnesota, the show you've waited for. This is Grizzly's Growls. And I am honored to present our host, the man, the mystery, the legend. This is Grizzly.
Hello again. Welcome to Grizzly's Growls, the life and times of a minor local celebrity, episode 126 for June 17, 2012. I am David Grizzly Smith in real life. I am Grizzly Silversmith in Second Life, among other roles I play. As far as my real life is concerned, I spend the time I consider most important to me in Second Life. The rest I spend at work, or on my way to work, or on my way home from work. And to me, that is not my life. That's just my day job.
This is not your life. This is your day job.
Now, if you're thinking it's kind of pathetic that Second Life is more important to me than what I laughingly call my real life, you'd be right if you were right in what you believe about Second Life. So let's call that full disclosure. I'm coming to this discussion with an agenda, a view of Second Life driven by my own experiences there. I started thinking about this rather rambling podcast after hearing a quick and thoughtless comment from LaPorte on his This Week in Tech podcast. They were, as usual, talking about something completely unrelated. Mr. LaPorte said in passing something to the effect that he had given up on Second Life because it's all about sex. Wow. Tarring with kind of a broad brush there, ain't you, Leo? Now, I have no idea what sort of experience of Second Life Mr. LaPorte had to come to that conclusion. It was all about sex. I really don't want to know. I didn't want that image in my mind, thank you very much. My own experience tells me that this statement is wrong. I think there are thousands who would say that it is wrong, and I think plenty of folks would agree with Mr. LaPorte too, I suppose, because they've either never been there and believed the rumors, or went there, didn't see the attraction, gave up since they didn't understand it all, and believe the rumors. And most people do the latter, sad to say. Oh, wait, am I denying that there's sex in Second Life? No, it's certainly there. I'm not denying it. I object to the statement that it's all about. That sex is somehow the most important element of Second Life. Now, if Leo LaPorte is going to give up something because it's all about sex, then I look forward to the day he gives up the World Wide Web. But enough about Leo. Nice fella, big fan. Saying Second Life is all about sex is like saying going to the movies is all about popcorn. Now, hey, they do have popcorn at the movies. Sometimes pretty good popcorn. People like popcorn. Every image created about going to the movies, it seems, includes people sitting in the dark on a fold-down chairs in a place with sticky floors with a big bucket of popcorn. People sit at home in front of that big new flat screen, crank up a Blu-ray disc, and sit down on the couch with a big bowl of popcorn because that's what you do when you watch movies. You eat popcorn. But is that what going to the movies is all about? Well, of course not. They have this thing where they shine a light on a flat patch of the wall and you see, sure enough, moving pictures. Well, sometimes even entertaining moving pictures with sound and whatnot. It's true. You could look it up on the web. They can't say it on the web if it ain't true, can they? Of course, if they say that on the web, I suppose that means the web isn't all about sex. Funny how that works out. Going to the movies anyway is all about movies. If you think it's all about popcorn, you weren't paying attention and you missed the point. Saying Second Life is all about sex is like saying the state fair is all about cotton candy. Cotton candy is sweet and it's colorful and not much flavor to it, really. It's basically spun sugar and it tastes like sugar. People like cotton candy, though. People picture themselves at the state fair. They may well picture themselves holding cotton candy in one hand, but their other hand is quite likely in the sticky fingers of a young member of their family, maybe one of their kids. The state fair is all about walking in the sunshine with your family. It's all about walking in the sun down the midway with the screaming kids and the too loud music surrounding you, playing games you most likely won't win. And if you do win, you spend dollars to win something you wouldn't buy for pennies, even someone else's pennies. The state fair It's all about the rides. Maybe the little kid rides where the little boats go around in a circle, or the pony rides, or the merry-go-round. Maybe the Ferris wheel. Maybe that big roller coaster. Or maybe you ride one of those tilt-a-whirl things and you get nauseous from spinning around after eating too much cotton candy. Not just cotton candy. How about the flesh of some unidentifiable dead critter on a stick? If you can kill it and cook it and put it on a stick, somebody is selling it at some state fair somewhere. The state fair is all about sitting on some incredibly hard bleachers out by the dirt track where they have the stock car racing on summer weekends and listening to some pretty good country singer on a really terrible sound system. Or maybe it's about being a pretty good country singer and coming way out to the middle of nowhere to sing into a bad microphone on a terrible sound system just to have a chance to sing for an audience and get paid for singing and finally live your dream. It's not always pretty, but that is what it's all about. You ever hear of the Future Farmers of America, the FFA? These are farm kids who work their butts off to keep their family farm going. They work their butts off in school. Then they go the extra mile to raise a perfect calf or an outstanding tomato plant or an amazingly large pumpkin. Now, I didn't grow up far enough out of town to be one of those kids, not quite, but I know the feeling. I bet you do too. They lead an ordinary life, that they do this one thing and they do it well, and once a year at the state fair they get to be someone special. To show off the result of their hard work, to spend time surrounded by other people who have done the same work and share their passion. Now maybe they win a prize, maybe they don't. But there's still someone special at that time in that place. That is what the state fair is all about. Relatively few people bake from scratch anymore. Not many people feel like they have the time to do that, even people who love to bake, unless they are lucky enough to make a living doing it, although, of course, it's pretty damned hard work for that matter. But every year at the state fair, you walk through a display and you see the product of efforts of people who take real pride in their baking skill and their own recipes and their own imagination. They may go home with a blue ribbon. They may go home with their own pie, and that's all, but for a little while they are someone special, surrounded by people who understand them and their joy. That's what the state fair is all about. And those of us who don't bake and don't farm and don't sing, well, we might just get a few hours in the sun with our families. And yes, that's what the state fair is all about. Oh, yeah, and the cotton candy's nice, too. But if you think state fair is all about cotton candy, you missed the point. No, Virginia, the movies are not all about popcorn. The state fair is not all about cotton candy. And Second Life is not all about sex. I have, in my relatively brief time in Second Life, officiated at a pretty fair number of weddings. Now, one could start to argue that Second Life weddings are all about sex, except, of course, you don't need to get married to have sex in Second Life any more than in real life. What's that all about, huh? I have been to memorial services in Second Life for friends I have never met in real life. They passed away. They died. And people in Second Life who loved them miss them and will stand together and say so. You could try to tell me those memorials are all about sex, and after you picked your bruised and boot-printed ass up off the ground, you could try to tell me again. There are a remarkable number of remarkable people who have survived tremendous personal and medical hardships, faced disabilities that make real life nearly impossible, who live a full, exciting, challenging, and joyful life in Second Life. What is that all about? I fell in love in Second Life. We got married in Second Life. We have a home of our own and businesses of our own in Second Life, though I certainly can't claim to be a big success in real life. I almost lost the lady I loved the other day to a personal emergency in real life. We could have had another memorial service. Instead, we're having a belated wedding anniversary next weekend at our jazz club because she survived. And we survived. Now, if you're thinking of telling me what that is all about, I'd strongly recommend keeping your mouth shut and the aforementioned bruised and battered ass on the ground. Congratulations would be nice, though. Thank you very much. What do you think that's all about, huh? So before we talk about what Second Life is all about, let's run down what else Second Life is not. Second Life is not a virtual world. You're thinking, okay, right, what? Well, I figure a virtual anything should be a representation of the essential characteristics of the thing being represented. One essential of the real world is that almost everything happens outside of the control of the people in that world. Whether there's someone outside of the real world making that stuff happen is left as an exercise for the reader. But you and I don't decide what most of that stuff is going to happen. Sunrise and sunset, rain and snow out of our hands. Big critters being born, eating little critters and dying, and little critters doing the same to littler critters. That ain't us. If you see a rabbit hopping across a snowy field, it might be the hand of God or the nature of the bunny that puts it on that path, but we know it ain't us. In Second Life, if there's snow on the ground and a bunny on the snow, you probably bought and paid for both. Nothing wrong with that. But you're not even trying to represent nature. You're not trying to represent the real world. You aren't creating a virtual world. Now, I'll grant you that's a matter of degree, not of kind. Second Life is also not a ham sandwich. But I don't feel it lives up to the standard of a virtual world. I may be the only person who thinks so. I'm fine with that. In any case, I think it's better if Second Life is not referred to as a virtual world because the term really doesn't tell you the most important stuff about Second Life. We'll get to that. Now, a lot of these multiplayer online games actually live up to my standards for a virtual world better than Second Life does. Sure, someone does decide the weather, the time of day, the presence or absence of the Vorpal bunny on the snowy field. Somebody does, but it's not the people in the world who decide that. Speaking of which, Second Life is also not a game. But I'm going to gloss right over that because many other folks have already argued that point in depth and breadth and to death, and I can't add much. The short version is that a game has a beginning and an end, and there is either a set target for winning, a set target for losing, or both. I don't call Second Life a game for the same reason you'd be exasperated with your mom. Back when you were a kid, when you came in after a long summer day and she asked, "So, did you kids have fun at your game?" And you'd sigh and say, "Mom, we weren't playing a game. We were just playing." Pop Warner football, that's a game. Pee Wee hockey, that's a game. Little League baseball, that's a game. Sandlot baseball with an old boot, a tire, and somebody's little brother for bases, that's not a game. You went to someone's brush-strewn backyard and played with a ball and a bat and some gloves, if you happen to have a glove. Both sides went home convinced they won. Nobody's sure what the score was, and you probably ended up playing catch anyway till the sun got too low and you couldn't figure out where the ball rolled, so they'll have to find it tomorrow. Now, some parents want you to play a real, honest-to-gosh game of ball like they're convinced they used to play, but they never did. Smart parents know you're better off just playing. And another thing Second Life is not. I won't bother to dignify the lately popular question of why Second Life failed by treating it as a question. Second Life did not become an instant huge success in one of the several tech bubbles we've had in the last few years. It didn't experience explosive growth. It didn't become Facebook, which is fine with me. Facebook is America Online. Facebook is America Online with 800 million customers and no dial-up service and without the billions of floppies and CDs stuck in magazines, but it is still AOL, same even so. It's essentially the same technology. It looks the same. The names have changed, but it's still the same old gas. Extra credit if you can tell me where that line came from. Asking why did Second Life fail is like asking, are you still beating your wife? You can't dignify the question with an answer without agreeing that the hidden question behind it is already answered. So I will hold out my hand, I will let that question drop to the floor and walk away, giving it all the respect it deserves. You know, part of the reason that whole failure meme started is that Second Life is not what its creators thought it was going to be. Like all the other tech company folks of the same vintage, they thought it'd be the biggest thing ever right away. I read somewhere they thought it was going to replace the web. Someday I'll tell you why it didn't. It's actually pretty simple. Well, I'm glad Second Life didn't replace the web yet. I think the idea sounds kind of boring, and the web doesn't need to be replaced yet anyway, I think. Like the fellow said about socialism, Second Life isn't an idea that was tried and failed. Second Life is an idea that really hasn't been tried yet. And the people that own Second Life now get all excited about actually logging on once or twice, as if that gives them any idea what Second Life is all about. And then even they give up and write articles about why Second Life failed and why they didn't fail. Because after all, they tried Second Life twice, for maybe 20 minutes tops. Like apparently every famous smart person in history has said about one thing or another, of what use is a newborn baby? I love that quote. Of what use is a newborn baby? Because, G.K. Chesterton pointed out, and Snopes agrees, that a smart saying like that, it is quite possible that all those smart people used that phrase about something. It's clever. Who wouldn't ask that question about their favorite brainchild? Of what use is a newborn baby? Well, there have been several tech businesses that got very large very quickly indeed. Only a few are still around. Explosions don't last very long. This particular one did not explode. Second Life is a newborn baby. We'll find out the length of its hair and the color of its eyes later. So you gotta ask yourself, if Second Life is not all those things, what the heck is it, and why do so many people have no idea? It's a newborn baby. But here's what I know so far. Let me give you a technical answer first. Second Life is an interactive, immersive, 3D, general-purpose simulation environment. You probably get what interactive means. If not, Google is your friend. You also probably get immersive. Probably 3D is an exaggeration. The environment is 3D, but is rendered in 2D, at least so far. No special glasses. Simulation environment may also be an exaggeration. Many games are better at simulating what those games represent in particular. Most any really good game could be called an interactive, immersive 3D simulation environment, but what those games are focused on, a particular purpose, a particular virtual world, and Second Life is general purpose. Not only can just about anything be represented somewhat in Second Life, well or badly, everyone in Second Life has a hand in deciding what is represented and how it is represented. That is the strength of Second Life, but almost every weakness of Second Life also derives from that same fact. It's powerful stuff. Nobody said it'd be easy, and it isn't easy. The technical answer doesn't really address Mr. Leo LaPorte's contention, which is assumed to be true by so many people, including folks who frankly ought to know better. So let me give you, for want of a better word, a spiritual answer, probably a metaphor. Pretty sure it's not a simile. Let's go with metaphor. Second Life is a playground. Second Life is an interactive, immersive, 3D, general-purpose playground. All the best playgrounds are. Just like you told your mom back in the day, we aren't playing a game. We're just playing. Doing all the things kids do on a playground that adults really don't get to do anymore. I think once you understand and internalize that fact, the rest makes more sense. Like any playground, Second Life is every variety of kid you'd find on any playground. There's the quiet kids off in the corner pushing blocks around and pretending the blocks are whatever they want to imagine they are. Some of those kids turn those blocks into pretty damn good toys, too, that really work much like what they're imagining. And there's the kids that like to hang around and tell each other stories and sing songs. And there's the kids that monopolize the swing set and the slide, for that matter. You got bullies on our playground, sure. You got the jocks. You got the kids that need to be in charge of the playground, even if it's one little corner. You got the kids who dig holes in the ground and kids who fill the holes and smooth things over. Did I mention sandboxes? Boy, howdy, have we got sandboxes. You want to build castles in the sand? You want to build castles in the air? Sure, we got that. If you can imagine something in Second Life, somebody's already made 8 of them. 3 of them are free, 5 of them don't work well, and a couple are way overpriced. That's okay. We've also got play money. Some kids want to play store. There's room for that. And to address Mr. LaPorte's concern, well, there's kids that want to play house. There's kids that want to play doctor. And these days, no doubt there's kids that want to play Dr. House. Just don't assume that that is every kid on the playground all the time. Even if the kids running the Dr. House store say you really ought to assume that. The playground is, of course, not a game. People do play games here, though. Some of those games get pretty damned elaborate, so much so that one can't look at the games on Facebook without your jaw dropping in wonder that anyone bothers even play with something so sketchy and primitive You can pretend to be just about anyone you care to. Most of the other kids will play along as long as you aren't a bully about it. You are welcome to pretend, just don't be pretentious. Or you'll be pretentious all by yourself till you take your ball and go home announcing to Mom and Dad that the playground is all about something or other. And sometimes you'll get your feelings hurt, and I suppose all the bad stuff that can happen on the playground can happen there too. This playground is vast and various and colorful and a bit cluttered in spots. People like to leave their toys everywhere. People come here to play and to hang out with their friends, and they make new friends. Some of the best friends in your life you meet on a playground. I've had a lot of fun. Met a lot of all kinds of people. Didn't like all of them. Liked a bunch of them. That's a lot for someone on the autistic spectrum. I don't make friends easily, and I value those I make. Can you teach on the playground? Well, sure you can. Kids and grown-ups learn a lot by playing, and they learn a lot more by making their own toys, which stands to reason. Can you run a business on a playground? Well, sure you can. You have to remember that the purpose of a playground is play. That's what those kids come for. And these kids are smart enough to get themselves there, well enough off to keep themselves there. And their average age is about 34, by the way. So don't assume us kids won't wander off and find something more interesting than your business to do with our leisure time. That said, there's a lot of potential there. Now, for example, if your business was in Second Life, your employees would quite likely be happy to come to work every day. I'll delve into that in a future podcast, I hope. You know, even with its flaws and foibles and freakiness, Second Life is the biggest, most versatile playground in history. And right now, Second Life is an accidental secret. Our favorite tech pundits want to talk about what all the other tech pundits are talking about. Tech companies getting bigger because they're big, and getting richer because the tech pundits say they're going to get richer, so rich folks give them money and they get richer. Companies using technologies every bit as advanced as they were in the 80s and 90s when they were actually invented. Linden Labs isn't succeeding in promoting their virtual world because a virtual world is as exciting as an empty refrigerator. People don't buy refrigerators. They buy lunch. We choose to go to Second Life and to do the other things not because they are easy and not because they are hard, but because they're kind of fun. Now, I could go on, probably will later. I will probably revise and extend my remarks on this and a couple of other metaphors, explain how you could successfully use Second Life for business, win friends, influence people, and bring about world peace and an end to hunger. Or I may go to my favorite playground, hang out with my friends, and exercise my imagination. You should stop by sometime. Why devote all this time to ranting about Second Life? I get to quote my friend Cunning Minx, a host of a podcast from which I've learned a lot about relationships, whose wisdom I deeply admire. Why? As Minx says, because it's not all about the sex. I'm going to finish up by playing all of that Chris Kirby tune I played earlier from his album Vampire Hotel, because this is not my life. This is my day job. Good day.
Last night nearly destroyed you. Now your pillow's hanging from your head, and you can't fight what's hanging you over, but you get your broken self out of bed, because there is a slow hell waiting on you. Heaven help you if you're not on time. King of the castle, you was the man, but in the sunlight you under the radar, 'cause a vampire shall not tan. Oh, there is a slow hell waiting on you. Heaven help you if you're not on time. Oh, and there is no telling when it'll be over, but you can bet it's gonna be starting at 9. Oh, Monday morning, daydreaming about Friday night. Do what you told for 5 days and it's gonna be alright. miss your deadline so that you can get paid and pay your mortgage or all the house you bought when you got this job in the first place. Cause you's a real man in a real world. Your mama's real proud, but would she start to cry if you left it behind? Cause this is not your life. This is your day job. Woo! Starting at 9 every morning for the rest of your life. It's waiting on you. Heaven help you if you're not on time. And there is no telling when it will be over, but you can bet it's gonna be starting at 9. Heaven help you if you're not on time. Heaven help you if you're not on time. There's no telling when it will be over, but you make sure you're in at night.
Thank you for listening to Grizzly's Growls, the life and times of a minor local celebrity. If you like the show, tell your friends. If you don't like the show, tell your enemies. Leave an email, audio, or video comment on the website at grizzliesgrowls.com. This show was provided under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives license. Talk at you later.